Hi, I'm Tara Gold. You're joining me at home. At home refers to being at home within oneself, within the world, and at home with spirit. This podcast is raw and it's real. It's sometimes panel style, and it's always shared in a conversational style. Join me here for holistic lifestyle tips that really make a difference with scholars, medical professionals, scientists, cultural creatives, and artists that share through their lens. What all these conversations have in common is that we're all dedicated to empowering and inspiring each other to cultivate inner wisdom and also to share it. Welcome home. We were right home from the start. So I get to be here in Tuscany right now with you, Punnu WASU, who I feel like we must have met or seen each other sometime. Not met this directly, but seen each other somewhere, because we discovered here that we've been on so many of the similar places, same friends, community, but here we are coming to Tuscany to meet.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like we even lived in the same apartment building in Santa Monica.
Yes.
Went to the same farmers markets. Went to the same yoga studios.
Absolutely.
Went to the same teachers, some of us for bodywork and massage and deep healing training. And then, of course, both love Kirtan and the power and sacred sound.
Yes.
And you have 5 albums, right?
I have four albums.
4 albums, but the 5th one is on its way.
On its way. Yes.
And that's going to be coming out probably in a year or less?
Yeah. The plan is to do the work this year. Or this month.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love to just speak to you about even your past to start with. Just knowing that you were born in South India, and were you introduced to yogic concepts at a young age, or something that really spoke to you?
Yeah, so it happened to me when I was 5 years old. My father is a Kirtan singer also. And since early childhood, I was listening to the Kirtans. Because as far as my memory goes, when I was 2.5 years old, I found myself in a temple, because my father and the whole family, we were living in a temple. So
Where were you?
in India.
What was part?
That time we were in Maharashtra, in Aurangabad. That's where my Indian classical music happened. And
so you were around ragas and Kirtan and
Kirtans. So that was my background. And since I was 5 years old, I was sitting next to my father doing the Kirtan. And that's how the journey all started. And then when I was 10, my father sent me to an Indian classical vocal training with harmonium and mandolin and tabla. So there was a strict training after the school hours, after having my lunch, straight going to the college, university to study Indian classical music.
Every day?
Every day.
5 days a week?
Yeah, 5-6 days a week. Yeah.
Many hours?
Yeah, around between 1 to 2 hours every day. Yeah.
That's how you get good. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Right? It takes that, I think.
Then I had to practice when I came home.
Ooh, more.
So it was like,
Wow. And your dad really, did he help also with training?
Yeah, so the initial training was with my dad, and which helped me to open up with the Kirtan mantras, proper pronunciation, annotation, all this. The Indian classical music helped me to really go deep into the ragas, into the rhythm, into the understanding of how the whole music works.
I remember, I think I mentioned to you that I came out with a Kirtan album in 2015. I was pregnant with my son. He was in my belly while I was recording, so it's very special to me, even for that reason. And I have a secret hope that he'll go that direction, but I'm not pushing. But I will say that when I was playing with pronunciation, one of my teachers was Jayutal, and he learned more, not necessarily all classical when it came to pronunciation. He learned more in the streets and in different. So when he heard my album, I should backtrack. I have a friend who's a Sanskrit scholar, and I worked with him, and he said, well, technically, based on Sanskrit, ancient Sanskrit, you should consider saying it with this pronunciation, right? When Jai heard it, he said, oh, you got the pronunciations all wrong, right? But depending on where people learn the pronunciations, it's going to be slightly different.
Yes.
Or a lot different, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'd be nice to hear your thoughts on that, because I know that you've led Kirtan in so many different parts of the world, and you probably hear people sharing these pronunciations in different ways.
Right.
Like Shiva or Shiva, or, Sarasvati versus Saraswati. Right? These kinds of things that I hear often change a lot.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
That slight difference, for me personally, doesn't make any difference. But when it's completely a little bit missing out, because Indian words have so much meanings.
Yes.
So one word could mean many things.
Yeah.
And if it is not pronounced well, the meaning will completely change.
Yeah.
So this,
Can you give an example?
I don't remember right now. I was thinking of what example I could give, but if it comes, I'll let you know. I'll send you a message.
Yeah. But I know you're right, because I've studied enough of it to know that there are some words that you can have 60 different meanings for one word.
Yeah.
So you want to get that pronunciation just right.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And that is like being an Indian. It's like ingrained in the culture and the system and the understanding. And when I was studying also the mantras, I was being corrected by my teachers also, proper pronunciation and how to say each word properly. So I've been trained with different methods like Vedic, Gurbani, the Sikh tradition, the Sanskrit. So it gives a really beautiful open ground to understand all different cultures.
Beautiful. I think that's what I heard in the music when I got to listen to it deeply last night. I could feel a depth and a steadiness in the way that you maintain the mantra. And that comes, in my experience, from someone who spent rich, deep time in that art form and in that sacred tradition. I don't hear it the same way with people that have gone in and out of it or just had to keep a bit of it.
Yeah.
But it was so clear to me that you have cultivated this in a very steady, deep way. And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Really beautiful. And I love your art on your albums, which look a little bit like really hip, almost like Japanese anime,
Yeah. So this is a very good artist from Bali, and he designed the 2 covers.
Really cool.
The
really
elephant
fun.
and the tiger.
Yeah. So I also went to your website, and one of the things I appreciated on the first page was you on a bicycle without your feet and without your hands on the steering.
Yes.
And say something about that, would you? Like, what is?
I would say whatever happens in life, just enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Because we all go through so many ups and downs, a personal life, families, and many things. So whatever happens, the thing that I've been learning is there are problems, challenges, and situations in everybody's life, but suffering is a choice. Either we react on a situation or we respond. It's completely left to us how we take an active step towards whatever comes in our life. So this is what I, if you're suffering, I say suffer joyfully. make it a blessing. Everything comes for a reason for us to evolve. So
that takes deep trust.
Absolutely.
That truly, no matter what, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out.
Yeah, when you're in a deep ocean, you surrender. And when you're in a flight, you surrender to the pilot. So the big pilot knows everything, so it's gonna be fine.
Yes. Is that something you felt innately as a young boy, or is it something you've had to cultivate?
I felt that innately as a young, but at that time I didn't knew how it was. So there was always a trust, a deep trust towards life. Of course, as a youth and youngster, I was completely different nature. Just, working out to understand the things, how things work, and why there is so much suffering, and why there is all this, what was happening in my own world and in the world. So I was trying to understand, and that led me to tap into spirituality, go into meditations and self-study and yoga to actually explore the inner world. And
How old were you when you started going deeper into it?
13.
13?
Yeah.
Similar for me, 12 for me.
Yeah. So 13, I already started questioning about life, about everything. So I used to go to ashrams and meet enlightened beings to ask questions.
It's so beautiful that you lived in a community that had that available.
Yes,
Because
I'm grateful for that.
Really, yes.
Yeah, being in India, it was so easy and accessible
Yeah.
to be around that kind of environment, people. So yeah, I remember 17, 18, I already left my home and searched. I was going to ashrams, deep meditations. I used to lock myself in the room, be in meditation for hours. And,
So you were a bit of a renunciate at times.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could say that, yes.
I know you're married now.
Yes.
Yeah. And have you been married a long time?
We got married, me and Catherine got married 2021.
At 21 years old?
No,
No.
21.
Oh, 2021.
2021.
It's a new marriage.
Yeah, it's a new marriage. And but we have been together for almost 10 years, more than 10 years.
And is your wife from Switzerland?
Yeah, she's from Switzerland.
Because I know you live in Switzerland.
So yeah, 6 months Switzerland, 6 months in Bali.
Okay.
It's like
Nice. Good.
best of the two worlds.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to live.
Yeah. Thank you.
What part of the year are you in Bali?
So different. If I have some work in Switzerland, so I come like sometimes even in winter, and I've started learning skiing. So we never stop learning. So I started learning skiing. So sometimes in winter is beautiful. Otherwise, mostly in summer in Europe and then summer in Bali.
I'm curious because you're learning things like skiing now. I find that when you have a deep root in yoga, you can apply that principle to anything, right? So when I started getting into skiing again a couple years ago with my son, I thought, this is fabulous yoga.
Yes.
Like, right? This
Balance,
is
yeah.
another aspect of how to practice.
Yeah,
And you bring the same principles into that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So have you found that with other parts of the world and things that you've tried where you
Yeah, so I tried also scuba diving.
me too. Oh, love.
That was like something new because I don't know much of how to swim.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was really, really beautiful too.
And pranayama practice under the water
Yes.
is fantastic.
Fantastic.
One of my favorite things.
Yeah. So I just did the level 1 training and
Was that in Bali?
in Bali. In
Beautiful.
Bali, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I started in Switzerland, but I felt Bali would be the right place to complete it. So I completed that in Bali, and yeah, so something always new, trying always something new to engage in, because otherwise either you are growing or you're dying. Either you're moving forward or you're moving backward. There's no static in this universe, so it's like always trying something new to enhance.
That said, even when I'm moving forward or feel as if I am, there's a natural dying in cycles that occur, right?
Absolutely.
You can't escape it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of Shivaya.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Om Namah Shivaya. Yeah.
And this is what the circle of life is. You what goes round comes round. You keep circulating, keep evolving, keep growing, keep enhancing and going deep into the self, because there is this undying exploration within that is endless.
Yeah.
It's like the more you think you know, the less you know actually.
True. True. I find that. Yeah. My son is at an age, he's 10, and he's at an age where he'll say, "You think you know it all?" And I'll look at him and go, "No, I don't actually. I really don't think I do." But he's trying on whether he knows or doesn't know. So he's seeing the world as if people act like they know or don't know. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. And that's part of, I think, the evolution of consciousness too. To explore what we know and don't know or think we know.
Yeah.
And an important part too, so we can discern and have distinction, and but ultimately, hopefully, not end there.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Have that be part of the
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I'm curious about having been so dedicated in your practices. What you would say about being also family and in relationship, and how to bridge the practices in your life that you have honed so beautifully with spirit directly, but bring that into conscious relationship with the beloved. Because that's a big challenge, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's having to, especially when it comes to the traditions I know of in Indian traditions.
yeah,
How do you, some of them and the practices were designed for mostly men, traditionally, and also for people that were renunciates. So if you bring that into being family and being a lover for someone, anything you can say about that? Because I have found in my life that that's always an interesting balancing act of how to take it all as medicine and a teacher and learn from every bit of it,
yeah.
but also how to bring that together harmoniously, really beautifully.
Yeah. So what I've been exploring and understanding and learning is life is relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships are not just part of life. Life is relationships. And there are so many relationships that we have in our life. And if any relationship, if it is not all right, the whole experience of life is not all right. If in any relationship there is conflict, life becomes divisive, perceptions begin to get distorted, we lose connection.
With
We lose
anyone.
balance. Anyone.
Yeah, I agree.
So how I bring that balance in my life, and how the trainings that I do in meditation trainings, what I share with the people, aside from the meditation techniques and other tools that I provide, is first is taking responsibility of life and not to blame. Because blaming doesn't help anyone. Either you blame, some people blame themselves or others or situations. This is not right, this is horrible. That doesn't help. So instead of blaming, we take responsibility for our lives. That's the first step. Second step is understanding the law of the unconscious mind. How the unconscious is the force that drives us, that rules us, and how to actually understand first the nature of it, which is either constructive or destructive. And the higher and the lower consciousness is repetitive, compulsive. The higher is constructive, creative, auspicious. The lower is destructive. Because we keep on repeating those patterns, those paradigms, and we are compelled. It's compulsive force. And either it takes us on a destructive trail or constructive. We put seeds of actually to grow. That's the second thing. Third thing is how to tap into this mantra of life. How to tap into what are the secrets, potentials that the laws of the universe will hold, and how to tap into that. The fourth one is growth formula. In life, as I mentioned, either we are growing or we are dying. Either we are moving forward or we are moving backward. There is no static in this universe. So how to enhance that formula in each and every area of our life.
Do you work with the koshas as a model for that to address
Yes,
all layers?
of course. That's what I was going in. The fifth step is understanding the 5 layers, the panchakoshas. Annamaya kosha, the pranamaya kosha, the manomaya kosha, the vijnanamaya or jnanamaya kosha, and then anandamaya kosha. And that
and for someone that doesn't know what that is,
that's a physical body, because there are different layers. So the physical body is the annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha is the pranic body, the energy body, in which there are 114 chakras, 72,000 nadis, and this auric system. It's all connected, and these chakras, they do get defiled because of our wrong lifestyles, because of enormous burden of perceptions, wrong eating habits, how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive others, how we perceive the source. And then comes the third, the manomaya kosha, the mental layer, and the mental layer is so vast. Many people get stuck in this, you know. And then the vijnanamaya kosha or jnanamaya kosha, which is the scientific approach or knowledge, intellect, intelligence, all this. Then anandamaya kosha, which is actually our true nature, bliss body. How I see what we are actually as human beings, or all the beings, is nothing but Satchit Ananda, which is existence, consciousness, intelligence, and bliss. And
so we're held in that.
we are
in our wholeness. We are that.
We are nothing but unconditional love. But the irony is we forget and we beg for love. We are that. And that's what we take in the people through this journey of meditations, how to actually self-love and acceptance. You know. Then I go into the relationships. So healing relationship with parents, with children, learning the art of parenting, and healing relationship with the partner. So that was your question. How do we do this? See, the first relationship that we have is with our parents. So if anyone who has unsettled relationship with a mother, they might go through needless obstacles, unforeseen obstacles. They might also go through health issues, love relationship issues. Those who have unsettled relationship with the father, they might go through financial issues, career, job, directions. And having unsettled relationship with both of the parents, our spiritual journey also comes to a halt. So healing relationship with our parents internally first, even if we are not living with them or they have passed away, it doesn't matter, because we are connected with them. That's the root of our relationship. And what happens when we heal the relationship with parents internally? Our heart, which is connected to the brain, the heart sends certain messages, certain signals to the brain, and the brain, which is a transmitter and a receiver, transmits those signals to our parents wherever they are. They will receive those signals, those messages. They will have a change of heart. Once that happens, you will start feeling peace and calm towards your parents. Once that happens, that means the internal healing has been done. Then we suggest people how to do the external healing. Once that happens, people have experienced major breakthrough. Then we go into the how to actually heal our relationship with our children, how to be good parents, how to bring in good citizens, and how to treat our child, or how to understand the evolution of the child. What are the needs of the children? So there are 4 baskets from the time of conception up until 6 months when the child is out of the womb, and there are 3 phases of evolution. From 0 to 6 years, from 6 to 12, and then 12 to onwards.
And that's what you learned in your tradition. Because every tradition is a little different. You know, I've noticed one of my passions and degrees was world arts and cultures and rites of passages in different cultures. So I studied that at UCLA when I was younger. And it got me aware of different cycles and traditions. So in West, we think of 0 to 5 as the most important first years. You just said 0 to 6.
Yes.
And in Chinese ancient traditions in some parts of Asia, it's more 7 and 8 cycles. So 7 for women, 8 for men cycle, I believe. Or I might have switched it just now. But it's interesting because every culture has their own take on it. But in the tradition you work from, it's 0 to 6.
0 to 6, you treat your child like a king or a queen.
Oh yeah?
You reduce your nose. And from 6 to 12, you treat your child like a prince or a princess. That means you bring in freedom with discipline. And how can we do this? By being an example. Children are very good imitators. They imitate what the parents are doing, whatever they are speaking. You cannot say to the child, "Oh, don't yell, you're too young." It's just watching the parents, what the parents are doing, and it will just imitate. And then from 12 onwards, treating a child like a friend. So no more instructions, only suggestions and advice.
That's a really nice way of. It's a nice model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And I do that with my children. I have 4 kids.
You do?
Yes. So I apply all this with all of mine.
How old are your children?
They're grown up.
All of them?
Yeah.
I can't tell your age. You're ageless.
Yeah, so I've been using that with my kids, and it's been really, really beautiful.
Where are they located?
So one is in Bali with me, one is in India, one is in Spain. I'm going to meet her very soon. One is in the United States.
Oh wow, how lovely. International family.
International, yes.
Do you find that it's easy to stay connected though with them?
Yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
where they live?
Yeah. Connection is with the heart.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to have the FaceTime or WhatsApp messages. Connection with the heart is with the heart.
Yeah. Sometimes too much of the structure of we must connect can create stress or strain.
Absolutely.
Right? So if it's more natural and you trust the heart, I find that to be true. There's a lot of, in the Western culture, there's a lot of things with more than at least half the population have people that are divorced. That's just a fact of the United States. And majority of the kids are put in a situation where when they're not with one parent, it's written into the parenting plan that they have to have a certain amount of connection with mom or dad on the other side, like twice a week at this time, that kind of thing. But I've watched how, with my son, because his dad and I parted when he was young, that created stress for him because it would interrupt the flow of something in that moment. So I didn't quite feel like the right moment when he was ready to connect. But we had that in place because of the standards of what is set in place. So I'd love the world to be able to rethink these things because that creates undue stress.
Absolutely. So just to get back to your thing with a partner, is there are so many relationships in our life, but this is one of the relationships that can give you maximum pleasure or maximum pain.
Yeah, your
relationship with a partner. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So there are different ways of working it. Actually, how to practice art of listening. Listening not just to the others, but listening to oneself. When you are with someone, how do you feel? Are you at ease? Are you comfortable? Is it pleasant emotion or unpleasantness? So that's what we got to practice art of listening.
And not to blame them when you observe that.
Absolutely.
Right.
People are people. Yeah. That's why the first thing is not to blame. Taking responsibility. And then we have to go into accepting ourselves. Is one is able to accept the past, the childhood, the body, the personalities, the abilities, all of your emotions. If one is not able to accept, how can we accept others? If you are not able to love yourself, how can you love others? So that's the second part. And the third thing is, when we are in a relationship, there has to be respect, not just love. Because if respect is lost, love will eventually go. So these are few things that we got to bring into the relationship with the partner.
So I personally find that for me, that means slowing down a lot of the time. When there's a lack of trust or love or understanding, it's often, I find, moments when there's a pace that's too fast, maybe, or out of sync, with our rhythms, or like we're playing two different kinds of music at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so finding a way to kind of bring that back to harmony seems to be key.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Can we scoot forward a little? We've got just a few more minutes,
sure.
And I'm hot in the sun.
Okay.
And what I wanted to say, thank you. I was so warm. I was sweating. The sun beamed on us when we halfway through. Oh, so nice. So one thing I wanted to just ask you is, because we only have a few minutes left together today, what is something you most would want to share, if we haven't said yet? If with somebody that would like to learn more from you, or just have a moment of something that could maybe touch their hearts and their lives?
Expansion of life.
Expansion,
because everything or anything that we do, if there is no expansion, it stops. So how to fulfill ourselves, how to express ourselves,
keep growing,
and then also coming out of the attachments that keeps us down. That's what we call as mukti.
Mukti. I thought mukti is
liberation.
Yes,
Liberation.
Yes.
Liberation from the senses, liberation from the mind, liberation from society, civilizations, all the conditionings and belief system, the dogmas, all is coming out of all this. And living like the birds.
And the birds.
Like the nature.
Yeah.
It's just seeing the reality as it is, without the interpretation of the mind. Because the thing is, what happens to us is we are always in the mind.
Yeah. Sometimes, I guess it's all mind, when there's an emotional, energetic, it's something that's so strong. Sometimes the mind can't grasp what's happening in the body all the way, and those nervous system reactivity can even be stronger than the mind stuff and the understanding of what's happening in the mind. But you do say that as if it's part of the mind, the way it's perceiving it?
See, the thing is, we have to understand, we are not the thoughts.
Yeah.
We are not the mind.
Yeah.
We are not this body.
We're not even our nervous systems.
Nothing. We are actually, all things are happening automatically.
Yeah.
There is thinking going on, but there is no thinker. There is seeing, but no seer. There is listening, but no listener. There is doing, but no doer. I as a person do not exist. There is no person there at all. Self is just a concept created by the mind.
Right. And expansion, when you say expansion, it's funny, last night I had a beautiful moment listening to your music with Danny, and there was this moment where I asked him, I said, how do you perceive when you're most connected? What does it feel like in your being, in your body? And I ended up answering for him what my version was. My version was, I can sense great space and great spaciousness and a sense of light pouring through, right? Like both. It's like this big space, like limitless, infinite space, and great light pouring through. So, I think about that for other people. My mind thinks, like, what is it for you? Like, how would you perceive expansion? How do you know when you're expanded or not expanded? What does that feel like?
The feeling is of freedom.
Freedom.
Yes. Yeah. The feeling is that I'm nothing, but I'm everything at the same time.
Yeah.
All that is, and yet nothing. Just simple. Very, very simple. And this is the feeling.
I have one more question, which has to do with your aesthetic. We share a friend, Guru Singh, and I remember asking him once in the early years of meeting him, because I didn't know many Sikhs when I met him, so I had met only a few very closely that I could ask questions, and so I said, why do you wear a turban? And he answered in such a lovely way. I'm wondering what you would say. Like, why do you wear a turban?
What did he answer?
Well, I'll tell you after. But I want to say, when I first met you, and we were walking through Tuscany in an area, you weren't wearing your turban. Yeah. But you are today. So it made me wonder.
So, of course, I I'm born and brought up in the tradition of Sikh,
Yeah.
which we wear the turban. For me, it's a sign of respect. It's a crown, and it's also an honor and protection, because this is the most important part of the body, the crown, the brain, which is connected to everything. So aside from all this, what I find very fascinating with me when I'm wearing turban is I feel good about it. I feel good about wearing. I don't know how people perceive me,
But it feels
who
good.
doesn't know the tradition or anything,
Uh-huh.
but I feel good about it.
Good.
And,
That's what matters.
and you can also say I'm used to it
Yeah.
since wearing from childhood. So
Yeah. I'll tell you what he said if you want to know.
Mhm.
He said, he described the hairs on the head like antennas.
yes,
And he said, and in the tradition of why he wears it, it's kind of like containing the antennas
yeah.
for periods of time when he does, and kind of utilizing that in a different way
Yeah.
than if it was just wild and free.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, also in the Bible, there is this story of Samson. The strength is also in our head. The power that we hold, the connection and all this. So ancient people, all they had this. It's so natural to have a beard.
Yeah.
It's so natural to have the hair.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah.
It's so happened that the modern world they started shaving and everything, but I don't think so in ancient there were any shaving blades or they used to cut their hair or anything, because it was so natural
Uh-huh.
to have long hair. And,
Uh-huh.
having a turban is like for me it's like a crown of a king.
Might as well celebrate being a king.
Absolutely.
Oh, may we all,
Absolutely.
own and honor that part of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
It's beautiful
It's
to be
so
with you.
nice to connect with
Yeah,
you
yeah.
at this deeper level.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to stay connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Blessings.
Blessings. And thank you.
Oh, I know you must go, but can you say 20 seconds of a mantra?
Which one?
Anyone you choose. Because your voice is so exquisite. I'd love people to hear.
Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Please sing. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
And Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Okay, one last thing. Where can people find you? Your website?
So yeah, my website punnuwasu.com, Instagram Punnu Wasu, Facebook all Punnu Wasu.
Instagram, Facebook,
Facebook and website.
and website. And are you on TikTok or YouTube?
Not yet.
YouTube?
Yes, Punnu Wasu.
Punnu Wasu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey friend, thank you for meeting with me and my guests. Go to tarawellness.com to join my newsletter and find out what else I'm offering. Please like and follow this podcast. Check out the Tara Gold Wellness video version on YouTube and follow me at Tara Gold Wellness on Instagram and TikTok. Let's keep meeting at home. Home is where